Wow, that was great. I love that you called your kids a little bitch in our podcast.
Hey adventurers, welcome to Let's Just Go podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Kayla, and this week we are sharing a few tips and tricks with you about Universal Studios Orlando. Is that what we call it? I never know what to call that park.
Universal Studios Orlando. Yeah, Universal Orlando Resort is sort of the entire thing. It is confusing because it's like Disneyland, right? Like
Yeah,
Disneyland has the name of one of
right.
the parks, but also the whole thing, and then Universal Studios is one of the parks, but also the whole thing. So it is a little confusing. Yeah.
It is.
Well,
But
that's
we're talking
tip
about one specific park today, not Islands of Adventure.
tip number one is know what fucking park you're going to. Yeah. So before we jump in, how do we feel? How do you even feel? How do we feel about Universal?
I mean, I love Universal, minus
I,
all the 3D rides.
ooh, yeah. The simulation can be a little rough, a little bit
Mhm.
for the those prone to motion sickness. Um, but hands down, way more thrilling rides, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's I love it. I love Universal. I love how small it is to walk around. I love the Express Pass, which we'll talk about. Um, and I don't even love Harry Potter, but the Harry Potter worlds are so incredible.
Yeah, they really are. I gotta say, my favorite, I could say one of my favorite theme park rides of all time is at Universal Studios Orlando. Do you know what ride
Which
that
one?
is? If you had to take a guess.
The Escape to Gringotts?
No, Rip Ride Rocket. I love that ride. So, see, people, it's a very controversial ride. You love it or you hate it. There's no one who's like, yeah, it's fine.
I think it's awesome. My body, as I approach 40, no longer thinks a roller coaster that jostles you a million times a second is a great idea. It takes me like 4 hours to recover from that. My kids love it though; they do love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what's terrifying about that ride, though, and I think we've talked about this in the Universal episode, is that it doesn't stop moving as you're getting on.
Yeah.
So you're like, get on, get on, and then as it's like going up at a direct,
90
one
degree angle.
90-degree angle, am I going to fall out of this? So Rip Ride Rocket, I think my favorite ride in Universal Studios, that park, is the Escape to Gringotts
Yeah.
in Harry Potter. Yeah, I think it's so well done in a mix of storytelling and roller coaster that I'm like, I'm all in. Have you been on that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's fine. It's no Rip Ride Rocket, but it's not a
it's
bad
not.
time.
It's not nearly as thrilling as Rip Ride Rocket. No,
No.
no, no. So I know we talked about this before, but let's talk about some real people shit
Some
in
real
our
people.
in Universal Studios tips and tricks, right?
Yeah.
If you are not on Ozempic, no, uh, if you, I'm kidding. If you're a little more, as the Disney folks say, poo sized, right?
Hmm.
We do encourage you. The one thing Universal isn't great for is having super. What's the right way to say, like,
They're not very
large
size inclusive. They
size?
what Chris is trying to say is make sure if you aren't sure if you can fit in a ride vehicle, there are test vehicles in front of the attractions that you can try. The unfortunate thing is it's kind of um not embarrassing, but it's like they're right out in front of the rides. They're not discreet in any way. You could potentially have a team member stop you and say, I need you to sit in this and make sure that you fit. Like it's not, they're not very nice about it. Like it's just sort of like here, if you
If
want to test it, you can. It's right here.
Right. If you do see it though, I do find you're right that it's kind of out out right in the front, but I also
Hmm.
feel like there's so much going on that sometimes people are just taking pictures in there. Like it feels
Yeah.
less that anyone's getting in there to try it out. But I will tell you that, especially in Escape to Gringotts and the Mummy ride, like you have to. It's incredibly embarrassing to then have to be asked while you're seated to then get up, right? So
Yeah.
just kind of keep that in mind and save that embarrassment and try that seat out in advance, because even if there is a tinge of embarrassment there, it'll be way worse inside if you
Hmm. And if you've
um
waited in line for hours, the other
yeah
thing for both of those rides is if you're tall, like another reason to test because your
yep
knees may like you may physically not be able to fit. I'm gonna guess if you're over like 6'5", that
right
you probably won't fit. I don't know for sure. Like you probably do some Googling if you're really tall. But as someone who is 5'5", I struggle with like my legs in those vehicles. So I can only imagine how someone taller than me feels.
fits yeah it can feel a little crammed. So
Yeah,
that's tip number one. And I think tip number two is have a plan, because Universal Studios is not, it does have a loop, but it doesn't feel like a loop that you can just walk, right? I mean, in the Harry Potter section, you wouldn't even know existed, if you weren't really looking for it. So there's parts of that where you know where you're going first. You probably go to Rip Ride Rocket first because that's
yeah.
right there, right?
Hmm.
And now they have the new two newish or new, yeah, one very new and one newish. They've updated all the minions.
Hmm.
There's a new minions ride now when you first enter the park, and then the other piece that another tip would be to get to DreamWorks Land, which just opened in June of 2024. So make sure you check that out. Lots of character interactions, some attractions. But back for those of you who do have been there, it's back where the Woody
Oh,
the
what
Wood,
is, yeah, Woody the Woodpecker was. Yeah.
yeah, back by ET, the ET ride.
Barney, that whole
Yeah,
little like kids area. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Still focused on kids. That section definitely focused on kids, but an upgrade nonetheless. So I neither of us have actually seen it, and so excited that we will see it by the end of the summer.
Yeah. Are you going on your August trip to Universal?
I'm working on it. I'm working on
I'm going on my
it. Yeah,
August trip to
I know.
Universe. We've talked about this already.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah,
So, tip number three would be get the express pass.
for sure. Yeah. And
Uh,
so to give an example of ways you can do the Express Pass, one, you can pay for it outright. That's the worst idea. Don't do that. If you can avoid it, don't do that because it's dynamically priced. And if you wait, I think you told me you waited once until like day of and it was a ridiculous amount of money,
three
right?
300. It was $299.
Per person.
Mm-hmm.
Was that unlimited or was that the like one ride each?
It does. Does it even matter? I don't know. I wasn't paying because I
Yeah.
didn't. Maybe like a month before the trip, it was like 175 a person, which was still a lot. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. Then we get there, and I'm like, it's hot, and my kids are whining, and I'm like, I don't want to. My kids, I'm blaming my kids, but really, I'm not waiting in a line. And I go to the desk and they're like, "Oh, it's sure, it's available. It's $299." So they definitely dynamically price it based off of two things. One, it's going to be higher cost if it's a higher peak anticipated day, but then as the availability goes down, that price will skyrocket. So obviously they can't sell an unlimited amount of them because then it wouldn't be so express for everybody. So they definitely limit that. My favorite part of it, though, honestly, outside of not waiting in a line, you don't have to be in your app, right?
Yeah.
You want to get on Mummy Ride, you can walk over to the Mummy Ride. You want to get on the next ride that's in, 30 feet from there, which would, I guess, be maybe the Fast and the Furious ride, you can get on that
Hmm.
and then move on to the Harry Potter stuff and then on and right. And so it allows for a much more seamless, less stressful
Hmm.
theme park experience.
Yeah. So the way that and you also do Express Pass is staying at one of the premier resorts. So that's going to
Correct.
be Portofino Bay, Hard Rock Hotel, and Sapphire Falls. Nope. Royal
Royal Pacific.
Pacific. I don't know why I said Sapphire Falls. That's wrong. Ignore me. Sapphire Falls is the one that feels like it should be included, and it's not. So if you stay at any of those hotels, you actually get express pass included for up to four people, I believe. If the max occupancy of a room is four, it's up to
Yeah,
five. Okay.
the
Um,
max occupancy is 5. Yeah, so whoever's on the reservation really
yeah,
is qualifies for it.
yeah, and it's
For
your
day.
check in and check out day. So
Yep.
if you're wanting to spend more time at the parks, it's like, for example, in August, my mother and I are going to Florida. We're doing a whole Universal Disney cruise Disney trip. And we are doing 3 days at Universal. We're doing a 3 day, three park pass. The thing is, the day we're at Volcano Bay, we don't need Express Pass because it isn't the Express Pass that's included at the hotels is not Volcano Bay's Express Pass. They have something separate. So we are staying at a hotel near Volcano Bay. Then we're checking out and checking into Hard Rock. We're spending one night at Hard Rock, but getting Express Pass for the day we check in and the day we check out. And then we're moving to another hotel for the next day before we get on our cruise because we're okay with moving hotels 3 times in 4 days if it means that we get free Express Pass. Free. I'm
Exactly.
putting that in quotes because you're really paying for it, but
Well, and a really awesome, savvy travel advisor would know how to help somebody with that, right? So,
exactly. Yeah.
uh, so I think um, the other tip here is see the shows, right? Universal
Mhm.
Studios, not unlike Islands of Adventure, has all the shows. So,
Mhm.
and the parade is going. If there's a parade at that time, it could be seasonal. It's going to be in Universal Studios. So, check your app to know what times the shows are and the parades
Mhm.
because that's important. They are some of the best. The Born Identity show in Universal
So
Studios.
good.
You, it is like watching a live action movie. Um,
It's like
it's
a Vegas caliber show, honestly.
it's unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. And the horror makeup show is funny and fun. I mean, it's minorly scary,
Yeah.
but it's mostly fun and comical. Um, and I think part in some of those things, you know what, it's not the mouse down the street, right? So
It's not.
you may you may hear a little curse word from here, from time to time, or it's a little edgier, we'll say, right?
Yeah.
So just be prepared for that. What's your favorite food snack there?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like I don't eat when I go to Universal, which obviously is not true, and I do eat, but like food at Universal is not the same as food at Disney. Mythos is fine.
But they're not in Universal
Oh, that's
Studios.
in, no, you're right. That's Islands of Adventure. See, that's what I mean. I don't know what I do for food when I go there. I guess I
Yeah,
usually eat in Wizarding World, but I don't know what I eat. Like, I get as many different types of butter beers I can throughout the day.
well, you
I
can
am very excited about the new Ogre pretzel with the green cheese. Can't wait to try that in August.
oh, green cheese is so the um the the green cheese, yeah, that could I could do without that. But they do have the new quick service. I have eaten that. The food's okay. The food was okay, but the it's fun inside. The Minions themed quick service,
Oh, that sounds
so
fun.
that's worth checking out. It is also in the Wizarding World is where you can get the butterbeer ice cream, soft serve ice
Hmm.
cream in Universal Studios. So I would
Yeah.
check that out. Uh,
Honestly,
and then
City Walk has good stuff. Like I realize we're not gonna do a tips and tricks for City Walk, but like Big Fire is probably my favorite place at Universal property to eat at.
we ate recently. Our whole team was down. Not many of our team was down there a few months ago and ate at Vivo, the Italian place.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, there's lots of options. In the park, though, in Universal Studios, so our next tip would be if you're there during probably like January through March, really wherever the
Mardi
Mardi
Gras.
Gras festival is, and that's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of food booths all throughout
Mhm.
the park to try out.
You know what? Actually, there's an Irish pub. What's it called? I like that place.
That place is good. I don't know what it's called
I don't
either.
know what it's called. I
Not
want to say it's
important.
like O'Malley's. Like,
I was thinking O'Malley's too, but
are you Googling it now that we're talking about it? Or it
uh,
sounds like that.
no, I don't. Finnegan's.
That we were so wrong when we said O'Malley.
Yeah,
We both were confident in O'Malley's, but I'm
yeah,
glad
that
you
was
Googled it.
Irish like appropriation that we assumed that it's definitely O'Malley's.
It's gotta be. That's the only logical name for it to be.
Yeah, Finnegan's. Finnegan's, yeah,
Finnegan's.
and
Yeah.
Mulligan's is in Universal Studios Hollywood. Hollywood.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, and I think our last and final tip here, you already touched on, but it was really around the idea of the motion of the
Hmm.
simulation, right? And so you're going to see several attractions. The oh my god, the cars,
Transformers.
Transformers. Thank you,
And
Transformers. Maybe Escape to Gringotts.
The
Possibly
Simpsons.
well, The Simpsons I was saving for last. So yeah, The
Okay.
Simpsons, hands down.
The
I, I
worst.
the absolute. I cannot believe that attraction remains open. It is you. So for movement wise, it's fine. You can go in there. Like if you want to go with your kid who wants to go, or anybody who wants to go, and you just don't want to leave them, you want to wait in the line. You can go in there and close your eyes and
Hmm.
never be absolutely fine. So the actual seat isn't moving much, but this you're on roller coasters, like
Hmm.
3D roller coasters. It's too much. It's
Yeah.
chaos.
So,
Chaos.
so for those of you who haven't been on it, it's essentially a giant sound stage that has been turned into a ride. So there's like three levels. It sounds like it's like Soarin', if you've been on Soarin' at Disney. It's not. It's not. Soarin' is like not nearly as sickening as The Simpsons. The Simpsons is a fun ride. It's just like if you've never done it, I would say go and try it once. But also, if you are prone to motion sickness, or even if you're not, it might fuck you up.
Yeah. Like I motion sickness, the jostling of a roller coaster, that for me is motion. I'm usually okay. That ride really messed me up. And then you're spending so much money for that day. It's rough to then be down and out for the next hour or two. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
so just something to think about. But we want you to be prepared because you know, there are the attractions in Universal Studios that has that. But
Yeah.
I say the only other thing too, the last thing we've talked about is it's also where Halloween Horror Nights are
Hmm.
in Universal Studios, so you can take advantage of that. Obviously, seasonally, generally September and October. Um, I'm still waiting. I was hoping that they would extend it into August this year, and we could go while we were there. But I
I'm
poop my
so glad that's not the case.
yeah, I'd poop. I would poop my panties.
Would
Uh,
the girls want to go?
I think they would go, but they would be little bitches. Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
mean, and
I'm talking. I'm talking about my kids here on the podcast. I thought I was just talking to you. Oopsie.
I mean,
To be clear,
they're
I would say that
13.
they're 13. Yeah.
Yeah, so they are little bitches. That's just what 13-year-old girls are.
Yeah. Yeah. At least 1 week. At least 1 week.
Thank you so much, everybody that's listening. We've been watching this podcast grow, and it's really exciting to see people actually like watching us on YouTube and like listening and downloading wherever you're streaming your podcasts, and we really appreciate it. So please keep doing all those things. Share us with other people. Review if you're listening to us on a podcast service. We would love it if you could write a review. Please only if it's good. If you're gonna write a bad review, just don't write it. We don't need that. But other than that, we look forward to the next episode. And until next time. let's just go.